But we have to bring up, we have to just, Lauren Ashcraft is here. She's coming. Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, you're going to be right here. Okay. Lauren Ashcraft, I'm sorry, we could have taken a break, but I think it would be better if you just come this way. Or that's fine. Awesome. Lauren Ashcraft.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. So excited.
You are running for Congress.
Yes.
In New York's 12th district.
Yes, that is correct.
Who are you running against why?
I'm running against Carolyn Maloney, and I have a vision for my district that includes every single person having full and equal representation. And my family is an example of what happens when that doesn't happen. So my grandfather died because of corporate greed in a coal mine. My grandmother was an immigrant from Japan who was treated with extreme xenophobia and racism. My other grandfather fell while he was working and became a quadriplegic. So I saw firsthand what it's like for people with disabilities to go completely ignored. And whenever we look at District 12, a lot of people think about the fact that, yes, it does have a lot of billionaires and $200 million condominiums, but it also has thousands of people dying on the street because they're homeless. And it has people that are rationing their insulin because they can't afford it. And I've seen that working class people and everyday people have gone ignored in my district, just like my family has. And I am standing up for that full and equal representation for every single person.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, I've done some events with Lauren. I totally believe in this effort. And, we try to have some people on who are running. We can't actually always do it because we do and we will, but it's not really in some ways, it's not really on format for the show. But it also obviously is important because a lot of people like you who bring totally different life experience and really exceptional commitment to genuine politics are taking on this risk. And I guess, we'll get back to your opponent in a second, but where would you fit yourself politically? Like, who do you support for president? What are your politics? How do you describe yourself?
I'm a Democratic Socialist, and I support Bernie Sanders for president very, very strongly.
Yes.
So I am running to support his platform, and I see him as the solution to the fact that we've been meeting these really, really urgent problems with super incrementalism style politics at best. Right now, we're going way backwards very quickly. And we need somebody who's going to take us all the way forwards to save life on our planet, for example, which is pretty important.
Should be nice.
I would say so. I would say that there's a certain, do you have actually, I promise on Tuesday, actually, there's a big, we're going to spend a lot of time on the crisis in Australia on Tuesday, but just seeing that, and even just and I'd recommend What Do You Mean's videos, really good. But just the amount of wildlife that have died, if you take a beat to absorb that, it's devastating on every possible level. And the last I heard, the Prime Minister of Australia was still going to go on a trade mission to India, which is based on coal exports, which Australia is very synchronized with the Trump, Bolsonaro, Orban world, Netanyahu world. But when you see what's happening in Australia and you think of your position in politics and your leadership, what do you, I guess both foreign and domestically, what do you think in terms of that?
It's terrifying. And I agree with Bernie Sanders in what he said the other day, that this kind of disaster is just going to keep happening more and more frequently as we go along and we don't address the problems in the way that we should. So I do support a Green New Deal, but going further, I support banning single-use plastics. I also support incentivizing everyone using public transit as their method of transportation. Yes. So I am pushing for nationalizing our public transit nationwide, making it free, and also upgrading it so it is efficient and gets people where they need to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that needs to go hand in hand with the Green New Deal, because it doesn't help that we have people depending on cars to get where they need to go. And right now, our public transit system in New York City is not accessible to people with disabilities. which matters a lot to me in my platform. And whenever I think about the fact that we're excluding so many people from our public transit, it's disturbing. And also we're not helping people to get out of the life situations and elevate themselves. So I know that Bernie Sanders is somebody that fights for equality of everyone and fights for people to be able to elevate themselves. And I agree with that and want to provide, first of all, a way for people to get to work and get to where they need to go, no questions asked, no fares. And I also want to incentivize people using the greenest method of transportation possible.
So I haven't heard people. I've compared who you're running against to Joe Crowley. Fair comparison?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know there are a lot of self-proclaimed progressives in Congress right now, and my opponent is one of them, in my opinion. Whenever you continuously endorse people who are not embodying progressive values, for example, she did not endorse AOC. Right. She did not endorse Tiffany Caban, for example. Right. And today I was just protesting Melinda Katz not keeping her campaign promise and ending cash bail. So it is really important that whenever you call yourself a progressive, you're connecting and partnering with progressives at all levels of government, and also supporting a network of people that are trying to do the right thing for the agenda that you supposedly represent.
Right, absolutely. What would your response be to the assassination of the General Soleimani and Iran and foreign policy in the Middle East more generally?
I'm terrified right now, first of all. I have studied international relations. That's my bachelor's degree. And the more that I learned from my studies, the more that I saw that we have intervened in horrible ways that have destabilized entire regions that are still suffering because of us. And so I am against American imperialism as it is. But what we're seeing right now with what's going on with Iran is that we have granted Donald Trump and also Barack Obama and George Bush the unilateral power they needed to bypass Congress's approval and do what they see as fit, which might not be a problem with some presidents, but it certainly is a problem when you give that kind of power to Donald Trump. Yeah. And Barbara Lee was the only person that voted against that.
We're going to be playing some of that in the post game, actually, later on, of Barbara Lee's initial unbelievably courageous opposition to that. I can only imagine the personal security consequences of voting against authorization weeks after September 11th. Ben, do you have any questions for the next Congresswoman from the 12th?
Yeah. So you had a stand-up comedy night a while back.
Yes.
as a fundraiser.
That's right.
Just wondering if there's going to be a video of that online at some point.
Oh, yes. There are clips of it online that I've posted on Twitter, but I have to post them more often, I think. But there's also going to be another comedy show coming up. So if anyone's watching and lives in New York and wants to come, follow me at Vote Ashcraft.
Is there anything else? Because you're going to spend a little bit of time in the post game with us where we are actually going to play an incredible clip from Joe Biden. I actually see, the more Joe Biden campaigns, the more I actually really believe in him. Because I think on a subconscious level, he is telling us, don't do this. Vote for Bernie Sanders if you want to beat Donald Trump. just even like Elizabeth Warren. Like I just noticed Elizabeth Warren just came out for the new NAFTA. Yeah. And I'm just like, I think in Biden's case, it's his melt brain subconsciously signaling, and I think it's Warren's like endless overthinking, that are both signaling us like, this is not a good idea if you want to actually beat Trump. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.